Okay, I know it's a little early to get started with Christmas decorating, but I am going to be gone a good bit of November, so my excuse is I need to get it done now. Now, normally, in all honesty, I do a mantle bit by bit. I like to put something up, look at it, wait a day, put something else up, look at it, wait a day, you know how that goes. But for demonstration purposes, I'm going to try to do this mantle all at one time. Just because it's going to be easier. I'm going to start out with this gorgeous garland, which I love. I'm going to attach it with these great 3M repositionable hooks. I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to use floral wire and, of course, your best friend in decorating, wire cutters. One of the biggest questions I always get around the holidays is, how do I attach the garland to the mantle? Because if you have a garland that has a lot of decorations on it, it has some weight, and you don't want it to come down, because it's happened at my house and it's ugly. You don't want that to happen. Things break, people cry, it's kind of ugly. So what I use is these 3M repositionable hooks. I like these because I can leave them up for the holiday and then take them off the mantle. Now, one of the things I want to warn you about is if you're putting these in a place you can't see and you're putting it on a painted mantle, don't be tempted to leave it there all year. The longer it's on the paint, it will eventually leave a mark. So when the Christmas season is over, take them off, put them away, put them back up next year. I do a mantle that's very simple like this. I do a garland that's 1 9-foot piece. So it's going to come down to about here on both sides, up and over on the corner, a little bit of a swag here, same thing on the other side. So I'm going to take these hooks, I'm going to put it with the top of the hook facing to the wall. I'm going to observe the instructions of what side to put where. Take this side off. And then I put it back, and I'll show you this up close, but I put it back probably a couple inches, an inch or so from the wall, because I'm going to attach it with floral wire. I'm also going to bring the garland this way, by the way. When the weight comes this way, it's holding. That's why I point it that way. I'm also going to put the garland up over on this side, so that's going to help keep the weight too. So I'm going to put one on each side. It goes so much faster in rehearsal. Oh yeah, we didn't have a rehearsal. Never mind. Okay, so I have one side put up, and if they're equidistant or not, as long as you're in the ballpark, you're going to be fine. So I put that one there. I'm going to put this one about here. Again, 1.5 to 2 inches from the wall. Give it a second. Now I'm ready to get my floral wire, my wire cutters, and put up the garland. A couple quick things to remember before you put up your garland. Number one, you want it to be even. One of the most annoying things is to go to all the trouble to put up your garland and then it's longer on one side than the other. And if you're OCD like I am, that will make you crazy. So the easiest thing is hold it up in the center. You can see the ends. You can see that they're even. I know this is the middle. Very, very simple. One other thing, make sure that you have the correct end. Oh, see, I almost did it wrong. Make sure that you have the end that plugs in on the side with the outlet. Yeah, I did that whole thing wrong one year. All right, now I'm going to show you how to put it up. Okay, this is up close and personal on the garland. I've centered it. It's going up over the corner of the mantle. Here's my 3M hook facing back. Here is my floral wire. I'm going to take the floral wire, separate the branches so I'm getting it around the center of the garland. I always try to use a longer piece than I think I need because I always end up with it being shorter than I thought. I'm going to take one end, put it around here. Now, one of the things you want to make sure of is that you are attaching it. I'm just going to twist and twist where you want it to catch. So put it where you want it. Make sure that that is the length that you are attaching it at, and then kind of squeeze it around the hook. Now I'm going to do the other side exactly the same way. Then I'm going to take a look back and make sure it's right. So I finally have the garland up relatively even. I have to be honest with you, I changed the position of that end 3 times and it's still not quite right, but it's okay. I can fake it for the rest of it. What I'm doing now is I'm going through and kind of zhuzhing the garland. When you take a garland out of storage, I hang mine, I'm really nice to them, and they still need help when they come out of storage. So once you hang it, you have to zhuzh it. I did this side, so you can see that all the branches from the center here are going kind of that direction, and the lights are dispersed evenly. The overall shape and the distribution of the lights are what's going to make the biggest difference in how your garland looks when you have everything on it. So now I'm going to do this side and have everything going this way, and we will be done. I'll show you how to do it. So whenever you look at a garland, all of the branches are generally kind of going one direction. But when you have it on a mantle, I think it looks better if this side is kind of going that way and this side is kind of going this way. It's one of the reasons that you have to zhuzh the garland when you get it out every year. So this is about the middle. I'm going to have this going kind of straight up and down. I'm going to take the lights and make sure that they are prominent. And that's going to take a little bit of, a little bit of zhuzh. I know that I'm going to need these lights in front for what I'm doing later. So you'll see that in a bit. But just kind of make sure that everything is adding to the look. These were kind of in the back. I'm going to make sure that they're adding to the look, bringing the lights up to the center because I'm going to need them, distributing the lights kind of evenly. And sometimes you got to kind of pull the branches around. And then I'm going to start bringing them this way. And there's always one side that's more difficult than the other because it naturally goes one direction, and this is like the colicky side of your hair. So be prepared for that. Work it a little bit more, it'll be fine. There are a few things that I have on my mantle all year round that I love to incorporate into my Christmas decorating, and they just happen to work really well. One of them is this beautiful Art Nouveau woman that I bought at auction. Isn't she fabulous? So one of the things that I do, because she's a very good weight, this is metal, is I put it up here in the garland on the mantle, and she helps keep the garland on the mantle. One of the most important things is make sure and bring the garland around her so that it's not going to eventually push her off. It's going to actually, she's going to actually help keep it on, which is good. I can zhuzh that more of that a little bit later. So she's right here on the end. All right. Zhuzh, zhuzh. You get the idea. Because I'm going to put a candle in there later too. Now on the other side, I'm going to take this candle holder. And this is a little trickier, so we'll see how it goes. This one is about the same size as the mantle. So I have to make sure and get it as close to the wall as possible and get as much of the garland out from behind it as possible. And I think we're going to be good there. Okay, then the candle goes here. What this does is it adds elevation to both sides of the garland. So it's a beautiful thing to do if you're decorating a windowsill or a sideboard or a mantle, whether you're using a garland or not. Make sure and use elevation on both sides, and if possible, make them a little bit different. One of the things that makes a garland look very impressive is if it has a lot of presence in the middle. I tried a different garland a few years ago that was very, very substantial all the way across, and it was so heavy that it almost took my mantle down. So now what I do is I take something that's beautiful, full, well done, and I augment with something in the center. These aren't lit, and I'm going to have to keep them on the garland with the branches of the garland itself. So I'll show you how to do it. Okay, in order to hold this on this, what I'm going to do is actually use the branches. I'm going to make an opening, and the opening needs to be kind of more at the top. Does that make any sense of the garland? Because it's going to naturally hang forward. You don't want it hanging under. So kind of naturally put it at the top. So you might have to try this a few times to get it right, and that's okay. Some years I have to do it a few times. Make sure it's all the way up. Now I'm going to take this and put it right in that little valley that I've created. So I know I'm going to want it about here. So I'm going to start pulling branches up and down and up. More up and down. Okay, that's anchored on that side. I'm going to come down here. And start doing this side. One of the things to remember is that you can actually use the branches of the garland itself for extra support. And I'm going to end up doing that once I get this on here so it doesn't hang forward. I'm going to use an extra 3M hook here, bring the branch up, and it will hold it up just like this. So right now, the weight of what I've put on the garland is bringing it forward. So I'm going to take this hook, I already have the adhesive, I'm going to put it right here. Now I'm going to take the actual branches, and this is going to be covered up because I'm bringing the garland up around it. I'm going to take the actual branch of the garland and put it around the 3M hook. Then I'm going to take a branch from the piece I'm putting on and bring it around the hook. Between the two of those, it will help hold. You can tell that was where I did it last year because those are still together. That will help hold it up and in place so it will face forward instead of falling down. One of my favorite ways to decorate are using swags because it gives you a lot of visual with just one piece. There was a time when I put every single piece of fruit and every single berry in by itself, and I have to tell you it took a lot longer. So you take a swag, and don't be afraid to bend them a little. And usually I kind of, again, go more slowly and look at it and come back. We'll see how it goes. So I'm going to put this up here to add visual to the top. I'm going to put a branch through the loop to make sure that it stays. I'm going to kind of create a trough, stuff it down in. I'm going to put a little bit of the branches through it. And that will actually stay just like that. Now I have this one because I knew I was going to need it. This is one. Now that I have something here, I'm going to want something here. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to nestle it right in. I'm going to put a branch through it. I'm going to put it right here. And then I just take a branch down here. And I'm done on that side. Now I'll do the other side. One of the things that I've fallen in love with are these kinds of garlands. Now, this is going to be a little tricky, so we'll see how it goes. But I like to lay it kind of on top and behind, and it adds a lot of dimension to the garland. So you're going to put it here, bring it around. Oh, cross your fingers, cross your fingers. Around behind, up and over. Again, don't be afraid to bend and mold. And now, that's full. All right, I've used 2 big swags that aren't lit, 2 of the apple swags, 2 of the apple garlands over the original garland. But what I've been doing is adding to the top. So now it needs a little more red on the bottom. I like to go to a craft store and get these kinds of things. So this is a lot of branches in one thing. Then I take my wire cutters, cut off the branches, and use them separately like this. Hold on. And it ends up being smaller branches like this. So then you take these branches and you put them in. And you can tell that I've used these before, they're kind of beat up, to balance out. So I'm going to fill in with extra a little bit underneath so I have a balance of the red above and below. So you might have noticed that there are some little glittery birds over there because I was looking at the garland and it has a lot of presence and a lot of oomph, but it needs a little bit of sparkle because I like things a little sparkly. So I brought these little mercury glass birds that I did. I love them. And I added a few over there, and I'm going to add a few more over here. These are really, really simple because they're just clips, so they go anywhere. So I'll add 3, try to get them kind of even. on each side. One more little guy. Okay, ready to go. So now I have, doesn't want to stand up. So now I have 3 birds on each side, and they're going to add a little bit of sparkle. But another way to add sparkle is to add some ornaments. And by doing that, you can add them kind of below. It also gives a nice bit of kind of texture to it. So you're going to hang this up so that you're just kind of seeing the glitter below. I like to use different shapes and kind of different textures. Ideally, I like to put some more to the front and some kind of hanging more from the back. It's a little more complicated from the back, by the way. But, oh, almost. Wait for it. Wait for it. Hold on. Got to kind of feel your way on that one. All right. A little more to the back. And then this one will go a little more to the front. And then one more. A little more to the back. Then of course I'll do that on the other side, but now what it does is it gives a sense of importance to the garland. It also allows me to add a little more glitter, which you know I love. So it's almost done. It has a lot of interest coming down both sides, but it needs a little something in the center. Now in the center you can use a bow, you can use flowers, you can use whatever you want. But I'm going to use this ornament that I think is absolutely stunning. I've always loved this one. In the center, it has a little cord on it, so I'm going to bring it up into the middle and literally tie it around, because I definitely don't want to lose it. Tie it around one of the branches. That's easier said than done, by the way. This tying it around a branch thing is kind of complicated. Okay. Oops. So this is an apple that fell off one of my swags from the other year, but I don't throw them away because I can always just set it up there and it adds a little red and everything's going to be fine. So there's your garland from start to finish. I hope that helps. It gives you some great ideas on how to add some things, and it shows you that there are ways to take shortcuts where you don't have to add every piece separately. You can use large pieces, you can layer, and it's going to be gorgeous. I hope you have a great Christmas.